Hi there, everyone. Today's podcast is on IFRS 15 revenue from contract with customers. Beginning with what is revenue. Revenue is income arising in the course of entities' normal trading or operating activities. Revenue presented in the statement of profit or loss should not include proceeds from the sale of non-current asset or sales tax. They are exclusive of the sales tax. Now, what is the investor's perspective of revenue? An entity's revenue figure is considerably the most important figure to consider when assessing its financial performance. As performance metric, revenue is generally well understood by the users of financial statement. Revenue is used when assessing the market share, also forms the basis for many of the key financial statement ratios such as gross profit margin and net profit margin. The old revenue recognition standard IAS 18 revenue was heavily criticized for containing principles that were too difficult to apply to all but to the most simple transaction and for lacking the guidance in many areas. This problem was exacerbated as entities enter into increasingly complex transactions. Many accounting scandals involving the manipulation of revenue highlighting the fact that IAS 18 was not up to the scratch. For this reason, board reviewed the development of IFRS 15 revenue from contract with customer as an extremely important project. IFRS 15, which was issued in 2014, provide a comprehensive and robust revenue recognition model. This should improve the comparability of revenue recognition across the entity, enabling the investor to make better and more informed decisions. So revenue is income arising in the course of entities' normal trading or operating activities. Okay, now when is going to be a revenue recognized? It is recognized when risk and reward is transferred or performance obligation is satisfied. In simple words, revenue is recognized when risk and reward is transferred, means you have transferred the goods or the performance obligation is satisfied. There is a 5-step process for the revenue recognition. IFRS 15 revenue from contract with customers says that entity recognize revenue by applying the following 5 steps. First, identify the contract. Second, identify the separate performance obligations within a contract. Third, determine the transaction price. Fourth, allocate the transaction price to the performance obligation in the contract. Fifth, recognize revenue when or as a performance obligation is satisfied. Each step of the revenue recognition will be considered in detail. The first step is identify the contract. IFRS 15 says that the contract is an agreement. Now we are identifying the contract. To identify the contract, we firstly need to consider what is a contract. Contract is an agreement between the two parties that create the rights and obligation. A contract does not need to be written. So contract is an agreement between the two parties that create rights and obligation. An entity can only account for revenue from a contract if it meets the following criteria. Means a contract should have the following characteristics. The first characteristics, there are 4 characteristics. First one is the parties have approved the contract and each party's right can be identified. Approved by both parties and each party's right or obligation can be identified. Second, payment terms can be identified. Third, the contract has a commercial substance, which should not lack the commercial substance, should be real, it should be on commercial terms. Contract have commercial substance. And the fourth, it is probable that the entity will be paid. The step 2 is identifying the separate performance obligation within a contract. Now, what is a performance obligation? Performance obligation are promises to transfer distinct goods or services to a customer. They are promised to transfer goods or service to a customer. Some contracts contain more than one performance obligation. A distinct performance obligation within a contract must be identified. If goods or services are regularly sold separately, then supply of each is likely to form a distinct performance obligation if included within the same contract. Now, one important thing that just need to be identified in the second step is principal and agent. An entity must decide the nature of each performance obligation. This IFRS 15 say this might be to provide the specified goods or service itself. It is the principal, or to arrange for another party to provide the goods or service. It is an agent. So, agent is an entity is a principal if it controls the good and services before it transferred to the buyer. If an entity is an agent, revenue is recognized based on the fee it is entitled to. Now, the other very important thing is warranties. Most of the time, a warranty is assurance that the product will function as intended. This is the case, then the warranty will be accounted for in accordance with IS 37 provision, contingent liabilities and contingent asset. If the customer has the option to purchase the warranty separately, then it should be treated as a distinct performance obligation. This means that a portion of the transaction price must be allocated to it. Warranty is an assurance that is assurance, and it is assurance that the product or the product will function as intended, as told, and it is accounted in accordance with IS 37 provision, contingent liability and contingent asset. If warranty is sold separately, only then it is treated as a separate performance obligation. Otherwise, it's a part of the contract. Now, the third step, determine the transaction price, means here we are determining the total price of the contract. IFRS 15 defines the transaction price is the amount of consideration the entity expects in exchange for satisfying a performance obligation. Sales tax is excluded. When determining the transaction price, following must be considered: variable consideration, significant financing component, non-cash consideration payable to a customer. So, a transaction price is the consideration in exchange for the goods or services. The first form of transaction price is the variable consideration. Variable consideration. If a contract includes a variable consideration, then an entity must estimate the amount it will be entitled to. IFRS 15 says that this estimate can only be included in the transaction price if it is highly probable that a significant reversal in the amount of cumulative revenue recognized will not occur when the uncertainty is resolved. Variable consideration. This is a one-side solution. Entity must estimate the amount it is entitled to. Variable consideration can only be included in the transaction price if it's highly probable that a particular performance obligation will be satisfied and that revenue will be earned. To simplify the entire wording above, that is, variable consideration can only be included in the transaction price if it is highly probable that the particular performance obligation will be satisfied or the revenue will be earned. Note that the product is sold with the right to return it, then the consideration is variable. Note that if a product is sold with a right to return it, then the consideration is variable. The entity must estimate the variable consideration and decide whether or not to include in the transaction price. The refund liability should be equal to the consideration received or receivable that entity does not expect entitled to be. Now the next is financing. In determining the transaction price, an entity must first consider if the timing of payment provides the customer or entity with a financing benefit. IFRS 15 provides the following indications of a significant financing component. First is the difference between the amount of promised consideration and the cash selling price for the promised goods and service. And the second is the length of time between the transfer of the promised goods or services to the customer and the payment date. If there is a financing component, then the consideration receivable needs to be discounted to present value using the rate at which the customer borrows money. So to simplify the two indications, the first is the difference in the credit sale consideration and the difference in the cash sale consideration, and the second indication is there is a time between the transfer of goods and the payment. The sales price will be the present value of consideration, present value of future cash flow. In income statement, we will show the finance cost. Finance cost will be the present value adjustment or unwinding of discount. Non-cash consideration. Any non-cash consideration is measured at fair value. If fair value of non-cash consideration cannot be estimated reliably, then the transaction is measured using the stand-alone selling price of the goods or service promised to the customer. Consideration payable to a customer. If consideration is paid to a customer in exchange for distinct goods or services, then it should be accounted for as a purchase transaction. Assuming that the consideration paid is not in exchange for a distinct goods or services, an entity should account for it as a reduction of the transaction price. Now the fourth step is allocate the transaction price to the separate performance obligation. The total transaction price should be allocated to each performance obligation in proportion of their standalone price. The best evidence of standalone selling price is the observable price when the goods or services is sold separately. If a standalone selling price is not directly observable, then it must be estimated. Observable input should be maximized whenever possible. If a customer is offered a discount for purchasing a bundle of goods and services, then discount should be allocated across all performance obligations within the contract in proportion of the standalone selling price, unless observable evidence suggests that this would be inaccurate. So we are going to allocate the entire transaction price or discounted transaction price in proportion of their standalone price on the proportion of. Now the step 5 is revenue recognition. Recognize the revenue. Revenue is recognized when or as the entity satisfies the performance obligation. Revenue is recognized when or as the entity satisfies the performance obligation by transferring a promised good or service to a customer. An entity must first determine at contract inception whether it satisfies the performance obligation over time or satisfy the performance obligation at a point in time. IFRS 15 states that an entity satisfies performance obligation over time if one of the following criteria is met. So these are over time performance obligation are satisfied. The customer simultaneously receives and consumes the benefit provided by the entity's performance as the entity performs. The second is the entity's performance create or enhances an asset, for example, work in progress, that the customer control as the asset is created or enhanced. And the third is entity's performance does not create an asset with an alternative use to the entity. An entity has enforceable right to payment for the performance completed to date. If performance obligation is satisfied over time, then revenue is recognized over time based on the progress towards the satisfaction of that performance. Methods of measuring progress towards the satisfaction of a performance obligation include output methods such as surveys of the performance or time lapse, and the second method is input methods such as cost incurred as a proportion of total expected cost. If progress cannot be reliably measured, then revenue can only be recognized up to the recoverable cost incurred. If performance obligation is not satisfied over time, then it is satisfied at a point in time. The entity must determine the point in time at which the customer obtains control of a promised asset. An entity controls an asset if it can direct its use and obtain most of its remaining benefit. Control also includes the ability to prevent other entities from obtaining benefits from an asset. IFRS 15 provides the following indicator of transfer of control. The entity has a present right to payment for the asset. The second, the customer has the legal title of the asset. Third, the entity has transferred the physical possession of the asset. Fourth, the customer has a significant risk and reward of ownership of asset. And the fifth and the last, the customer has accepted the asset. So these are all the 5 indications that one point of time revenue is recognized at the point then when customer obtained the control. And what are the indicators that customer have obtained the control? It is that entity is now the entity that have the asset, means the customer has right to payment for the goods or for the asset. The second is customer have the legal title of the asset. Third, have the legal possession of the asset. Fourth, risk and reward related to asset is with the customer. And fifth, that customer has accepted the asset.